My name is Alina Whitmore. I am 78 years old. I am a retired community health nurse, and I have been widowed for nearly 13 years. I live alone in the house my husband and I bought 4 decades ago when our daughter was still a child. It is a narrow 2-story home with steep wooden stairs and an attic that holds the weight of an entire lifetime of memories. I have lived here long enough to know every creak and every shadow. Every Sunday morning, I attend the 9:30 service at Grace Harbor Baptist Church. I have been a member there for more than 30 years. After church, I usually go to lunch with my friends Clara and Denise. We have done this for so long that the restaurant staff knows us by name and keeps our favorite table ready. It is one of the few routines in my life that has never changed. That Sunday morning began like any other. I dressed carefully, pressed my blouse, and pinned my late husband's old choir pin to my collar. The sermon had barely begun when the lights flickered and went out completely. After a few minutes, the pastor apologized and announced that the service would end early due to an electrical failure in the building. I called Clara from the parking lot to see if lunch was still on. She said Denise was feeling unwell and they would take a rain check. I told her to give Denise my love and started my drive home. I remember thinking how strange it felt to be heading back before noon. Normally, I would not be home until after 1 o'clock. When I turned onto my street, I noticed a car parked along the curb in front of my house. It was my daughter Natalie's car. She had not told me she was coming over. My stomach tightened, but I told myself not to overthink it. Natalie was 49 years old and came by occasionally without warning. I parked and walked up to the front door. It was unlocked. I never leave my door unlocked. I stood there for a moment listening. The house was quiet except for a faint sound coming from upstairs. Voices. As I stepped inside, I realized the sound was coming from the attic. The pull-down ladder was open. I could hear Natalie speaking clearly now. She was on the phone. "Yes, I found them," she said. "She keeps everything in these old boxes." I almost called out to let her know I was home, but something made me stop. I climbed the stairs quietly. She continued talking. "There are 3 policies. The Vanguard one is $300,000. The Oak Ridge policy is $250,000. And the Old Beacon Life policy is $200,000. That makes $750,000 total." My heart began pounding so hard, I thought she might hear it. A man's voice responded through the phone, calm and confident. "That is more than enough. Are you listed as the beneficiary on all of them?" "Yes," Natalie said. "I checked carefully. Everything is in my name." "Perfect," the man replied. I froze on the stair. Natalie hesitated, then said, "But how would we even do something like that? She is my mother." The man did not sound troubled at all. People her age have accidents all the time. No one questions it, especially falls. I felt weak. I grabbed the railing to steady myself. "She has steep stairs," Natalie said quietly. "Exactly, old house, old stairs, elderly woman. If it is done right, it will look completely natural. Maybe she is carrying something heavy, laundry, groceries, something that blocks her view. The carpet near the top only needs to be a little loose." My vision blurred. "What if someone investigates?" Natalie asked. "They will, but they will not find anything suspicious. No struggle, no forced injuries, just an unfortunate fall. Insurance companies see this every day. Accidental death is covered. She is 78, not 40. Natalie was silent for a moment. Then she asked, "When would this even happen?" "Soon," the man said. "You said the bank is threatening foreclosure. You need money quickly." "We are 4 months behind," she admitted. "Then you cannot wait. You need to think practically." That was when I stepped forward. I made sure my footsteps were loud. Natalie looked up and saw me standing there. Her face drained of all color. The phone slipped from her hand and landed on the floor. "Mom, I did not hear you come home." I looked at her calmly, though everything inside me was shaking. "Who are you talking to?" She stammered, "No one, I was just looking for old photos for a project." I bent down and picked up the phone. The call was still active. The man's voice came through sharp with urgency. "Natalie, did she hear us?" I spoke into the phone clearly. "This is the woman you were just planning to kill. Who are you?" There was silence, and then the line went dead. Natalie began crying. She backed away toward the ladder. Mom, please, you do not understand. We are desperate. Get out of my house, I said. She ran. I heard her car start and peel away. I sat down on the attic floor, surrounded by my life on paper. Insurance, documents, photographs, marriage certificates, all reduced to a price tag. After several minutes, I stood up, locked my bedroom door, and called the police. I stayed on the phone with the emergency dispatcher until the police arrived. She kept her voice calm and steady, asking me to describe where I was and whether I was safe. I told her I was locked in my bedroom and that my daughter had already left but had forgotten her phone in her panic. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. Within minutes, I heard sirens outside. Red and blue lights flashed through my front windows. The dispatcher told me the officers were at my address and asked if I could safely let them in. I unlocked my bedroom door and walked slowly downstairs. 2 officers stood on my porch. One was a tall, middle-aged man with tired eyes and a detective badge clipped to his belt. The other was a younger woman in uniform with a notebook already in her hand. Mrs. Whitmore, the detective said, I am Detective Andrew Lawson. This is Officer Renee Miller. You called about a serious threat to your life. Yes, I said. Please come in. We sat in my living room. I told them everything from the moment I came home early from church to the words I heard in the attic. I repeated the amounts the policies were worth and the details about the stairs and the loose carpet. Detective Lawson wrote continuously without interrupting. Officer Miller watched me carefully, as if checking that I was real and present and not imagining any of this. When I finished, there was a long silence. Mrs. Whitmore, Detective Lawson, said what you overheard is not just disturbing. It constitutes conspiracy to commit murder. Planning alone is a felony, even if no physical harm has occurred. I shook my head slowly. I kept thinking maybe she was just talking, venting. She is under so much stress. Officer Miller spoke gently. Talking about money problems is venting. Researching insurance policies, discussing methods, and rehearsing a cover story is criminal planning. I handed over Natalie's phone. She left this behind. The call logs and messages should still be on it. Detective Lawson put on gloves before taking it. We will secure this as evidence and obtain a warrant to search its contents. That night, my home became an active investigation site. Forensic technicians photographed the attic, documented the insurance folders Natalie had pulled out, and collected items she had touched. Everything felt unreal, as if I were watching someone else's life being dismantled. The next morning, Detective Lawson returned. He looked more serious than before. We have preliminary phone records, he said. Your daughter has been in contact with the same number repeatedly over the last 2 weeks. 50 calls in 16 days, some lasting over half an hour. Do you know who it is? I asked. Yes, his name is Victor Hale. He is 46 years old and has a prior conviction for voluntary manslaughter. He served 9 years and was released 3 years ago. My stomach dropped. There is more, Lawson said. Victor Hale was incarcerated at the same facility as your son-in-law, Daniel Pierce. I stared at him. Daniel was in prison. Yes, embezzlement. He worked in financial services and was convicted of misappropriating client funds. He served 5 years. He and Hale were cellmates. Everything I thought I knew about my family collapsed in that moment. That evening, Natalie was arrested at her home. Daniel was picked up at a friend's apartment. Victor Hale was taken into custody the same night. All 3 were charged with conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. 2 days later, the prosecutor assigned to the case came to see me. Her name was Rebecca Morales. She specialized in elder abuse cases. Mrs. Whitmore, she said, sitting across from me, this is one of the most calculated conspiracies we have seen. We have digital evidence, physical notes, and audio recordings. Audio recordings, I asked. She nodded. Victor Hale recorded a rehearsal of the emergency call your son-in-law would make after your death. He coached him on tone and wording. She played it for me. I heard a stranger instructing my family on how to sound devastated when they found my body. I had to grip the arms of my chair to keep from collapsing. Bail was denied for all three defendants. The judge cited the detailed planning and the clear threat to my safety. In the weeks that followed, I barely slept. I installed cameras, changed the locks, and stopped using my stairs whenever possible. I began seeing a trauma therapist named Dr. Lauren Bishop, who helped me understand that what I was experiencing was not just fear but betrayal trauma. I changed the beneficiaries on all my insurance policies. I updated my will and explicitly excluded Natalie by name with documented reasoning. The trial was scheduled 7 months later. When it began, the courtroom was full. Media cameras waited outside. Natalie sat at the defense table, thinner and pale. She looked at me once and started crying. I did not look back. The prosecution presented call logs, text messages, search histories, handwritten timelines, and the rehearsal recording. The defense argued it was talk, not action. Hypothetical discussion born of desperation. Then I testified. I told the jury exactly what I heard. The amounts, the stairs, the dates. I told them how my daughter valued my life. On cross-examination, they tried to suggest confusion, mishearing, stress, age. I answered calmly, I am a retired nurse. I know what I heard. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. They returned guilty verdicts on all counts. Natalie was sentenced to 18 years, Daniel to 20, Victor Hale to 22. As they were led away, I felt no triumph, only exhaustion. I walked out of the courthouse alone, knowing I was alive, because I came home early one Sunday morning. After the trial, life slowly returned to a form of normal, though nothing ever truly felt the same. I continued to live in my home, but I made permanent changes. I installed a stair lift, so I no longer had to climb or descend the steep stairs that had been central to their plan. Security cameras were installed around the perimeter, and a monitored alarm system kept me aware of any unexpected movement. I always wore a medical alert pendant. Every precaution I could take, I took. I began volunteering at the local senior center, teaching a class about financial safety and elder abuse. I shared my story openly, careful to protect my identity until people understood the lessons they needed to learn. Seniors who came to my class often had concerns about family members, questions about life insurance, or suspicions about unusual behavior from children or grandchildren. I encouraged them to trust their instincts. If something felt wrong, it probably was. Change your beneficiaries, secure your home, and speak to someone you trust immediately. Therapy continued with Dr. Lauren Bishop. We met weekly to work through the trauma, the betrayal, the nightmares. The images of Natalie planning my death and practicing the 911 call lingered in my mind, but Dr. Bishop helped me separate what I lived from what I imagined. She reminded me that the survival of my life, my home, and my independence was a victory in itself. I also worked closely with my attorney, Peter Caldwell, to ensure my legal and financial protections were airtight. We removed Natalie as the beneficiary from all insurance policies, replacing her with trusted organizations and family members. My will was revised to explicitly exclude her, citing the conspiracy she was involved in as the reason for her exclusion. Peter assured me that with the overwhelming evidence and her convictions, any attempt to contest the will would almost certainly fail. Letters from Natalie arrived in the following months, hundreds of them, full of apologies, pleas, and promises that she had never intended to carry out the plan. Peter screened all correspondence. I refused to read any of it. There was no forgiveness left to give, and the person in prison was not the daughter I had raised. Daniel and Victor Hale were also securely behind bars, serving their sentences. Natalie and Daniel divorced while in custody, severing any remaining ties to one another. Victor remained in a maximum security facility with violent offenders, a reminder of the danger they had posed. 3 years later, I am 80 years old. My hair is white, my steps cautious, my heart wary, but I am alive. I continue to volunteer, continue to teach, and continue to live independently. My life has been irrevocably changed, but it is still mine. Sometimes I dream the dream again. The dream where I stayed at church, went to lunch, came home at 1 o'clock, and found Natalie waiting. In that dream, she loosens the carpet, hands me something heavy, and I fall down the stairs. She calls 911 crying, claiming she found me already gone. The insurance pays out. The debts are cleared, the house is paid off, and she has cash in her hands. I wake gasping, heart pounding, clutching my medical alert pendant. Dr. Bishop tells me these nightmares may never fully disappear, but surviving them is proof of my resilience. I am still here because I listened, because I acted, because I chose life over the freedom of my betrayers. Natalie is serving 18 years, Daniel 20, Victor 22. I have my home, my independence, and the knowledge that I made the right choice when it mattered most. Some people might say I am cruel for not forgiving her, for not reading her letters, for not visiting her. They did not hear her planning a murder, nor did they see the recordings, the timelines, the evidence of premeditation. They do not know what it feels like to have your life valued at $750,000 by your own child. I am Alina Whitmore. I am 80 years old. I am alive, and I will continue to live fully, cautiously, and with purpose. Every Sunday I attend church, every week I volunteer, every day I live. I survived, and I will never forget. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe my channel.